So you've probably heard about this whole thing with the U.S. and Greenland, right?
You mean the idea of the U.S. wanting to buy Greenland?
Yeah, exactly. Sounds kind of crazy at first, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, because we know you like to get right to the heart of things,
Right.
we figured we'd do a deep dive into the whole story.
Sounds good.
So we're going to explore the history of Greenland
Right.
and then look at why there's so much interest in it now.
Okay.
And honestly, it's a pretty fast-getting story. You know, you've got this kind of intersection of, like, history and geopolitics all wrapped up in one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you want to really understand what's going on with this whole potential purchase thing, you really need to understand a little bit about Greenland itself.
Exactly.
Like, what is this place?
Yeah. First of all, it's huge.
Huge.
It's the world's biggest island.
Wow.
It's way up there between the Arctic and the Atlantic Oceans.
Okay.
And it's actually an autonomous part of the Kingdom of Denmark. So they handle their own internal affairs, which is, I think, really important to remember.
Yes, definitely.
When we're talking about, like, you know, who gets to make decisions about Greenland.
Right.
And then, despite all those pictures we see of ice and snow, there are actually people living there.
Okay.
Around 56,000.
That's pretty impressive, considering the environment.
It is. It is. And to really grasp this whole thing, you have to understand the long history of human presence there.
Absolutely. I mean, history provides such crucial context for these sorts of discussions.
Right. So, way back, thousands of years ago, the Inuit people arrived.
Okay.
And then, centuries later, around 986 A.D., a Norse explorer named Eric the Red showed up.
Eric the Red, yeah.
And here's a fun fact for you. He's the one who actually named it Greenland.
Really?
Yeah. And get this, historians think he did it as, like, a marketing ploy to attract more settlers.
Wow. So it was a bit of, like, early spin.
Exactly. Hey, come to Greenland. It's green and lovely.
Pretty clever.
Little did they know. But, yeah, fast forward to the 18th century, and Denmark officially colonizes it.
Okay.
And for a long time, it was seen as pretty remote, not super important.
Right. Out of the way, you know.
Yeah. But then World War II happens, and suddenly,
things change.
yeah, Greenland's location, it becomes super, super strategically important.
Because?
Well, because it's right between North America and Europe.
Right.
Which was crucial for all those military operations.
Makes sense.
So the U.S. actually built air bases there during the war.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think it's super important to note this.
Yeah, it is.
Because it shows that the U.S. has had strategic interest in Greenland for a long time.
Absolutely. I mean, this isn't totally out of the blue, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, after the war, things kept evolving. In 1953, Greenland became an equal part of Denmark.
Okay.
And then by 2009, they gained self-rule.
Interesting.
Which means they control most of their internal matters.
Got it. So they have a lot of autonomy.
Yeah. Exactly. Though Denmark still handles things like defense and foreign policy.
Right, right.
But this increasing autonomy, it's key to understanding Greenland's perspective today.
I can see that, yeah.
Okay, so we've done a bit of a whirlwind tour of Greenland's history.
Yeah, a good overview.
Now let's get to the big question. Why is everyone talking about the U.S. buying it now?
Right, right.
I mean, that news about President Trump wanting to buy Greenland really made headlines globally.
Oh, definitely. It caught everyone's attention.
It did. So at the heart of it.
Is this question of geostrategy in the Arctic?
Okay, can you unpack that a little?
Sure. You see, Greenland's location, it offers some serious advantages when it comes to military operations.
Oh, I see.
Surveillance, and also control of those Arctic shipping routes, which are becoming more and more important.
Interesting.
And with all the, competition happening up in the Arctic these days, the U.S., they really want to make sure they maintain their influence up there.
Right. Makes sense. And it's not just about location, is it?
No, it's not.
There's also all those natural resources.
Oh, yeah.
Greenland has a ton of untapped resources.
Huge.
Like rare earth minerals, which, as you know...
crucial for technology and defense.
Exactly. And then there's the possibility of oil and gas reserves, too.
Right.
So that's a pretty significant economic draw, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, for anyone looking at Greenland right now, that resource potential is a huge factor.
It's a big deal. And it ties into those security concerns you were talking about too, right?
Exactly. You see, the U.S. is a little worried about, increased activity from other major powers like Russia, China up in the Arctic.
Right.
So some people in the U.S., they see acquiring Greenland as a way to kind of protect U.S. interests.
Okay.
And counter those potential threats.
I see. So it's a pretty complex situation with a lot of different factors at play.
Oh,
And it's worth remembering, the U.S. isn't a stranger to being interested in Greenland, right?
no, that's true. There's been historical interest before.
Yeah, but this time, that very public approach,
Definitely caused some controversy.
to say the least, it didn't exactly go over well.
No, it didn't. And that brings up a really important point.
Yeah.
Both Denmark and Greenland, they've totally rejected the idea of selling.
They have, yeah.
Which highlights, issues of national sovereignty and self-determination.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not just about, money or strategic interests.
No.
It's about the people who live there and their right to decide their own future.
Absolutely. Home.
Exactly. So it sounds like, to sum things up for our listeners,
Yeah.
we're talking about a strategically important island with a rich history,
Long history.
a significant level of self-rule,
Right.
abundant potential resources,
Definitely.
and all of this is happening in a region, the Arctic, that's changing really, really rapidly. And where all the major global players are,
Yeah.
vying for influence.
Battling it out.
In a way, yeah.
So that's the backdrop to this whole U.S. interest in buying Greenland.
Exactly. And it really leaves you with a lot to think about,
It does. It does.
I mean, considering Greenland's journey through history, the autonomy they have now, and how important the Arctic is becoming strategically,
Yeah.
makes you wonder, what are the long-term implications of all these powerful nations competing for influence in this part of the world?
That's a great question for everyone listening to ponder.
It's something we all need to be thinking about, I think.
I agree.
Because what happens in the Arctic, it's not just going to stay in the Arctic.
No, it's going to have global implications.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, I think we've given everyone a lot to digest today.
I hope so.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
It's been really enlightening.
It has been.
And until next time, keep exploring.